I'm gonna show you how to sound like this on Bandlab.
You can download this preset now, link in the description or pin comment, yeah.
Before we begin, if you like how it sounds and you want to download this preset, you can do so by clicking the first link in the description or the pinned comment. Let's get on with the video. The first thing we're going to focus on is the Autotune. I have it cranked pretty high, but not all the way, because as an R&B singer, you still want to retain some sort of natural feeling to your vocals. You don't want to sound completely robotic like a Travis Scott or a Quavo. And it's under the essentials and classic setting. So the first thing I added was a noise gate, because if you're using Bandlab, I'm assuming you're not gonna have like the highest quality microphone, which is fine, but you can mitigate a lot of the annoying background noises by adding a noise gate. I have it at around -30 decibels as the threshold, and I have the standard attack at 5 milliseconds and release at 200 milliseconds. I think it works just fine. The next step is adding a compressor. I use the emulator they have of the 1176 just because of the nice warm sound it gives. And I have the input at 10 decibels, the output at 3.3 decibels, an attack of 1.2, a release of 5, and a ratio of 8:1. Then we move on to the EQ. The first thing I did was remove a lot of the low end, sculpt it out quite a bit, because that's where a lot of the rumbling comes from and a lot of the annoying frequencies you want to remove. Then what I did over here was in the mid section, I boosted it all the way up and I started doing a sweep, essentially with the mid sweep lever, moving left to right until I found the most annoying resonance in the vocals. And it was after I found that I went to the mid lever, where I dropped it to about -2 decibels. I heavily recommend you do this, because in the mid frequencies of your vocals, or in really any sound, there tends to be a lot of annoying muddiness that you want to remove to make your vocals as clean as possible. And then to add a bit of high top, I raised the high to 2 decibels. Then for the spatial effects, I used the D-Delay Plus. I put the feedback at 20%. I didn't want too much. And then for the low pass, I put it at about 3,600, just because typically in a lot of like the Weeknd or R&B vocal performances, the delay definitely stays in the back and isn't like a focal point. It's just a nice little spatial effect to add. Then I put the wet level at 30% and put the spread at around 69, just to make it as panoramic and as spacious as possible. And then finally, I added a studio reverb, putting the mix at 30%, the tone at 90%, and a room size of about 30%. I felt like that was appropriate. The main thing to work on is the mix lever. You want to make sure that it doesn't completely wash away your vocals and it's a respectable level. If this video was helpful, consider subscribing, leaving a like, comment suggestions for more videos like this. And again, if you want this vocal preset, you can download it by clicking the first link in the description or the pinned comment.